Hey, welcome post Happy Father's Day. This is It Came From GenX. I am Keith Porter alongside Brian Fisher and Thumbelina himself. Welcome back, Mike Skinner.
Hey.
What's going on, my brother?
Hey, I'm doing okay. A little sore today, but we're hanging in there.
All right, we missed you last week, and for those of you who do not know, Skinner wanted to see if he could cut his thumb off last week and put it back together. Didn't quite work out, but he's here with what, 9 or 8 digits? I don't know, something like that.
I actually have all 10 digits.
You have all 10? You want to tell the people what happened real shortly?
As you guys had mentioned last week on the show, I am redoing my basement, remodeling, and I was cutting a piece of wood on a old table saw. It has no guards or anything, and I went to turn off the table saw, and I must have lost my balance, and my hand went into the saw.
So what did we learn from this?
What did I learn from this?
Yes.
I learned never to use an old table saw again.
Okay, thank you. Get some guards, man.
It's a machine that I'm afraid of to begin with, so I'm always very careful that what happened, but like I said, I lost my balance or something. I have no explanation.
Nobody said you had to use a Gen X table saw.
Yeah, no
okay,
kidding.
You took it too far. Well, glad to have you back. Fish, what's happening, brother?
Not too much, man. Busy week at work. Great Father's Day, though.
Yes.
Peyton and I went up to the Holden Arboretum up in Kirkland, up in here in Northeast Ohio. So it's like a nice nature realm type place. Beautiful day, overcast, not too hot. Walked around, saw a lot of nice. It's just beautiful landscaping up there and stuff, and they have some pretty cool stick work exhibits up there to check out. So the structure's made of nothing but woven sticks that an artist came in and put together last year. So very, very cool stuff. Great day. Nice to spend time with those that make the day meaningful.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Good. Glad you had a good Father's Day, and I had a great one myself. My son Steele came down and got me and took me to dinner. We went to the Works up in Chicago Falls there, and just competed and played games and acted like two little kids all day long. And it was something I greatly needed. And with us three, I noticed that Father's Day is all kinds of time. I know Skinner values family time with his kids, family dinners and all that. You and Peyton are always doing things, and Steele and I have been parents and son, but best friends for a while. So, but the day was marked for us fathers, and I had a great day. So glad you guys did too, even though Skinner did holding his hand up in the cast. Okay, listen, I know we got some exciting stuff to talk about. Skinner's got a lot to make up for, so let's get this thing cracking. But first, Fish wearing the Super Friends shirt today, and you're going to tell the people why a little bit later on, so we'll just hold that off. But kill his shirt and tell those people where they can find the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So you might be listening to us on WMVU.org, Global Internet Radio, Mondays from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. You might be listening to us whenever you want to on your favorite podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. Ask your home assistant device to play the It Came From GenX podcast, and she will do that for you. You can find us on Facebook at It Came From GenX, all one word. All show information is there, links, everything. Our YouTube channel, It Came From GenX, all videos we put up there of the same show, and also some other fun stuff. We are on Instagram, It Came From _GenX, Twitter, look for It Came From GenX, and TikTok, It Came From GenX 330. Look for our logos with the rubber duck monster with the laser shooting out of its eyes. That is us. All this information is packaged nice and neat for you on our Linktree account. Just search Linktree, L-I-N-K, tree, It Came From GenX, and our profile will pop up for you. All show links, all information I just mentioned, all right there for you. Check us out, like us, subscribe, follow, share if you like our stuff. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, rate, review the show, helps others find us. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
Yes, we do. Please. Also, rumor has it we are on the monitors of some of your finer Greyhound buses. So
Yes.
if you're taking a trip somewhere, see if you can find us there.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get this party started. How about some world news? Skidder, take it away, baby.
Yes, I have one story for us tonight, and it's a doozy, unfortunately. Overnight last night down in Surfside, Florida, half a building collapsed. It was a apartment condo complex, and unfortunately, one person has lost their life. 10 others were hurt at the time that the story broke, or that I had researched the story, which was this afternoon. Dozens have been displaced. In the next door hotel, they evacuated 50 rooms due to the destruction of this building collapse. And so our prayers to those folks all affected by this, to the first responders. We hope safety for them and finding all the people that may be buried under the rubble.
Yeah.
I hate hearing stories like this, and I hate hearing about buildings collapse because it takes me back to April 19th, 1995. What do you guys doing during that time?
I was watching your girlfriend being born.
You probably were.
I was sitting around playing some stupid drinking game back then. Go ahead. Yep.
The Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building.
Yes.
Was targeted and destroyed by Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols.
Right. Horrific.
At the time, I was in the military. We went on high alert, being a terrorist type thing. At the very beginning, they had no idea who it was, and thankfully, it was only 48 hours. They had Timothy McVeigh under custody, and it was shortly after that they got Terry Nichols as well. During that bombing, 168 was killed. There are 680 folks hurt. 258, and this is what blows my mind, 258 nearby buildings were damaged by that blast.
Wow.
Now, this is a small town, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Middle of the Plains states. You would think something, it would be New York, LA, Boston, Chicago. But in a city of Oklahoma City, to have to endure this, like I said, I remember like it was yesterday when it happened. I just wanted to know what your guys' thoughts were. Like I said, I was in the military, so we were on high alert, and our base got locked down. I wasn't allowed to leave. We went on 12-hour shifts, which ended up being 15-hour shifts. I got to go back to sleep for about 6-7 hours, and we were back on duty. So I remember it like it was yesterday. What do you guys recall from that?
Okay, Fish.
Go, Keith. Okay. Well, it's interesting that I remember seeing stuff on the news, and that in 1995, right? Some people don't even quite seem that long ago, but this is before the days of smartphones and social media and the internet being prevalent and everything else. So you pretty much just had all your news sources from the news and newspaper and everything else. So, I remember hearing all about it, watching it, and it was just surreal at the time. Just that something like that, that of that large a scale of terrorism happened in the United States. Obviously, a few years later, we had the catastrophic World Trade Center tragedy, but at the time, certainly, what still is certainly one of the worst acts of terrorism the United States has ever had. So I'm glad they caught him and there was justice served there. But just a crazy period, and very unfortunate. Keith?
What was that date again?
April 19th, 1995.
1995. Okay. So, I'm trying to recall the feeling back then, because I don't want to compare that feeling towards terrorism versus our feeling now. We are such a different nation now when it comes to terrorism. We've unfortunately have grown accustomed to acts of terror, at least familiar with it,
Yep.
in a very close way. There was a eerie feeling back then. We weren't used to that. We didn't believe that anything like that could happen on U.S. soil, and I think that shook people to the core. I can imagine. You made a great point, Skinner, in Oklahoma. So imagine how those people felt. They're not used to big things happen in their city. If that had been New York or something, all kind of things happen there. But in Oklahoma, one of the quietest states, I would imagine that shook people there even more. But I remember this sense of fear. Certainly not like 9/11, but that very first sense of fear, like who would do that here? And then to find out that these guys were Americans. So that's the way I felt. Now that I'm older and hopefully wiser, I have so many questions about that whole thing. I believe a lot of stuff has been a lot of false flag operations. I'm one of those people that believes 9/11 was an inside job. I believe it was a false flag operation to institute the Patriot Act and to get the NSA to do some things that they normally wouldn't be allowed to do. That's just my belief. And I just want to say I feel bad for this people in this building because I haven't read the story yet. But for what I understand, the building was scheduled for a total upgrade. And if that's the case, and it collapsed before the upgrade, my God, condolences to that one lost life. I pray that's the only one they find. But man, there's going to be some serious litigation going on if that building was scheduled for upkeep and it collapsed before that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all right, fellas. Well, that's what I have for today. I thought it was a pretty heavy subject. And for you folks out there, I am not trying to compare what happened last night in Miami, Florida, Surfside, to what happened in Oklahoma. It just, like I said, when I saw the building collapse and the pictures from what happened last night,
right, took you back there.
It took me back to 1995.
The picture of that building in Oklahoma is one of those images that'll stick in your mind.
Exactly, and that's
like
why
the
I
fall of
brought that up.
Saigon or Tiananmen Square, things like that.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thanks a lot, Skinner. That's a heck of a story. And if that develops more, obviously you can come back next week with a little bit more on that.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there's going to be things that come out in regard to the condition of that building. So keep an eye on that for us.
I will.
All right. Right, Fish. What's going on in the world of pop culture, man? You had some good stuff in the production meeting.
Yeah, thank you. So, well, again, every week someone is passing on. It seems like from that's of significance to our generation in some way, shape, or form. So, one of my favorite shows as a kid, watching with mom and dad, I know it definitely was one of my mom's and still is, WKRP in Cincinnati. Frank Bonner, who played the advertising salesman Herb Tarlek, passed away recently at age 79. The show ran 4 seasons, 78 to 82. It's out there in box sets. You can find it out there. I talked about this on the other show, Convincing Idiots with Dean and Nick, and they said it's on Hulu, so you can find it out there as well. So anyway, very good show. Radio station Cincinnati decides to change its style from whatever it was to rock. Just kind of an interesting array of radio personalities and office personalities meshing. It was kind of a funny show. Howard Hesseman and Lonnie Anderson and others, Tim Reed, Gordon Jump got their start back then, and a very significant role. So I thought Frank was very funny on the show. Herb was a great character. Funny, outgoing, always hitting on Jennifer, Lonnie Anderson. Were you a fan of Herb, a fan of WKRP in Cincinnati? Keith, did you watch that show? What do you think?
I did not. Never cared for the show. I have watched some episodes that I enjoyed. Some I didn't care for. I just could not get into the show. Didn't get into the characters. I don't know why. I thought maybe one day when I get older, it'd be one of those shows that once it goes into syndication, I'll watch it continuously. Like Seinfeld. Never cared for that when it was out. Now I can't stop watching it. Things of that nature. But I just never was a fan, and I know Herb Tarlick. I know the characters, and I know he was something else. But just I don't know, didn't jive with me. I of course, like all young boys, wanted to see Lonnie Anderson, and at the time when I was young, and eyes were bigger than my head, but that was pretty much it for me. Skinner.
Okay.
Well, I remember the show because of my dad. You think 1979, my dad was just turning 30. So he's still a young buck back then. So to watch him watching the show with Lonnie Anderson, you can imagine. So I want to go back and revisit that show now that it's on Hulu, like you said. I want to go back and as an adult and watch it again because I don't remember.
I'm going to watch it too.
Young.
I'm going to watch it too and give it a really good fair shot.
But yeah, during that run, I was 10 years old. So I was just coming into my own or getting ready to start puberty. So yeah, that was a show that probably a little bit ahead of my time. So I'd like to go back and watch it.
Okay. Well, if you go back and watch it, let me know. I bought the box set for the first season for my mom for Mother's Day, and her birthdays were on the same time, and so she has an access. So I sat one day and watched a couple episodes with her. Still enjoyed it. Rewatched the pilot and a couple of them. So yeah, interesting stuff. All right, a late night icon, guys, is retiring tonight. So we're shooting this on Thursday, June the 24th. So tonight is the final episode for Conan O'Brien on, is it TBS that he's on there? So
wow.
Yeah, so many years. Conan O'Brien certainly had quite the career. I mean, obviously you guys know who he is. He was a writer originally on Saturday Night Live. Got his start there. Got his foot in the door. Yeah, got his foot in the door with late night TV. So if I think he was after Dave Letterman, I think, for a while, wasn't he? After David, the Late Show for a long time. And then he was given the opportunity to host the Tonight Show when Jay Leno kind of stepped back from when his contract first ran out. Then they had the Jay Leno Show for 10 minutes, if you remember. And then Jay Leno was like, hey, I'm not ready to retire yet. He wanted to come back and do the Tonight Show again. So they literally booted Conan off of NBC's Tonight Show. Wars. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And then he got a big payout out of all that and the contract. And it was kind of very memorable that he was really, really making fun of NBC and Jay Leno when he was wrapping up his little stint there. And then he eventually jumped over to the Conan Show on TBS, and he's been there for several years. So him and his sidekick, gosh darn it, what's his sidekick? Shoot.
Know if I hear it.
Okay, well, I'll look him up here, but those guys had a very unique. As you guys, a very unique partnership, and they were partners on the show. So Conan gave equal billing. Andy Richter, that's it. Yes. Andy Richter, that's it. Thank you very much. So definitely redefined that partnership. Andy was with him all those years as a loyal co-host. Really, is pretty much what he was. So anyway, so that kind of struck me, and it's on tonight at 11 p.m. I'll probably step. I really haven't watched late night TV a whole bunch, but I'll probably pause tonight and check that out. So, fans of Conan, not so much. What do you guys think of Conan O'Brien? Keith?
Wow, I have 0 for 2 right now. I can't figure out how this guy got a late night show. I don't find him funny whatsoever. I have never gotten it. And still don't get it. Now, will I watch the show? Absolutely. because as an adult, I've learned to appreciate moments in history. They're come and gone. I want to see it. You know what I'm saying? I'll never forget Bette Midler singing to Johnny Carson.
Yep.
You know, that was a special moment, you know. So yeah, I'll probably watch it, but no, I'm just not a fan of Conan O'Brien. I don't like his humor. I never found him very funny at all.
All right, Skinner, Conan O'Brien.
That makes two of us. Can't stand the guy. I don't know how he made it into Hollywood to begin with. But I do have a tidbit of information. Do you know that he is a Harvard Law graduate?
Wow. No.
I actually know a lady.
Very smart guy.
When I lived in North Royalton, it was a friend of ours. She has a Harvard Law degree, and she actually went to school with him. And she said he was a pompous ass then. Couldn't believe that he was on TV. So maybe that's why I'm a little bit biased.
He is one tall dude too, man.
Yes, he's a tall drink of water.
Yeah, Carson was Carson. Jay Leno had that appeal. You know, how could you not like Jay Leno? And what's his name? Hosting the Tonight Show now. He's just
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon is just funny and unbelievably talented. Probably the most talented late night show host we've ever had. And of course, Letterman I thought was brilliant. Letterman had that Fisher kind of wit. You know what I'm saying? Just real dry, snap you. And Conan O'Brien, to me, I'm like, what does this guy have that's so funny? But obviously, he's appealed to somebody. He's lasted this long, so I'm not hating.
Right. So I've never been a fan of his, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was trying to reflect. You could think of ongoing bits that all those guys had. That's reoccurring characters and all that. I can't remember a whole bunch of. I know they did that. From the year 2000, which was kind of funny. They shined the flashlights like they were predicting stuff in the year 2000. And one thing that was funny after the year 2000, they kept that bit going. It kept saying the year 2000, so that was kind of funny and all that. So he had a few things, and he was personable. He was kind of everyman guy, but he certainly was very good at making fun of himself. So I thought that's probably one of his main appeals, in my opinion, was that he was very good at the self-depreciating humor.
Yeah,
very easy to talk to. It seemed like with the guests and everything. I don't know, but one of the best things about that show, in my opinion, was the ongoing bit with Paul Rudd, where Paul Rudd would come on. You can find this on YouTube. If you're a remote fan, you know what I'm talking about. But Paul Rudd would come on since his first appearance, and he would set up a clip. And he would always show this ridiculous clip of this very horrible movie, Mac and Me, which is a knockoff of E.T., and it's the same clip of this kid flying down a hill in a wheelchair. This little boy loses control, hits the brake, and a kid flies off a cliff and lands in this water.
See that.
It's a crazy scene, and the alien winds up rescuing him and all that. Every setup for 20 years or whatever it was, Paul Rudd would come on that show, and he got big, obviously, with Ant-Man and everything else, another movie. Same clip every single time. And Paul Rudd came on as a surprise guest this week, set up a great bit, hit him with it. And Paul Rudd is so great. Anyway,
check that out.
Only did it on go check that out. The last Mac and Me appearance. But there's a whole collage of these.
Okay.
The Paul Rudd bits on Conan O'Brien throughout the years.
Bidding farewell. Wasn't a fan, but hey, man, you lasted a long time, and congratulations on that.
Absolutely. Okay. Enough of that. Another iconic movie celebrating. Seems like a newer movie still. When you talk about some of these movies, 30 years. Reunion for Thelma and Louise was last week. So Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis got back together, and there's great pictures of them online. Look it up. They're in the 1966 convertible that they had in the movie. Both ladies looked phenomenal. Susan Sarandon is 74 years of age. You can't tell looking at her, but so it's hard to believe that movie was 1991 already. So, wow. Thelma and Louise fan, what do you think of that movie? Have you ever seen it? Let's go to Skinner this time.
Well, I think of Thelma and Louise. I think they put redheads back on the map again. Truthfully,
really, I thought your daughter did that.
In the 70s and 80s. 70s was a bunch of blondes. In the 80s, it was all brunettes. So they come out 1991, and the sex appeal and the whole thing that movie had. He had two redheads, both of them very good-looking women.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Brad Pitt got his start with that movie, didn't he?
I believe that was at least one of his earlier movies, at the very least.
One of his earlier. He was a co-star, so he wasn't the main star like he obviously is nowadays. But yeah, I think he got his start. So it was a great movie. I remember it. I should probably go back and watch it again. I was always a Gina Davis fan, and I've watched Susan Sarandon over the years. I'm a big fan of her husband, Tim, who's on Shawshank Redemption.
Robbins,
Tim
right?
Robbins. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tim Robbins. So I've watched their careers as they go on, and always loved Susan Sarandon. You're right, 74 years old. She don't look a day over 50.
Yep.
But that's my memory for the show, or for that movie.
All right, Keith.
Hated it. No, just kidding. No, that was a great movie. I've not seen it in a long time. Probably need to revisit that since it has a anniversary. I love the movie. Big fan of Susan Sarandon. And Gina Davis for that matter. Just huge fans. What I think about that movie, what I think that movie did. Okay, guys, our fourth partner who hasn't been on the show yet. One of the parents, John Cooper. We've been calling each other Road Dog for over 30 years now. And men have always had that, my dog partner type thing. I think Thelma and Louise kind of gave girls a sense of that. That the girls, this is my partner, this is my ride or die, this is my road dog. And you notice the lingo of girls and their best friends change after that movie. You heard a lot of Thelma and Louise references in TV shows and comedies and things like that. But I think that movie gave women a sense of partnership rather than competition. When you have a best friend that you would go over a cliff with. And though it was a tragic end, I think it did something good for ladies and their frame of mind with their friends.
Yeah, I agree with you. Very empowering for women, like you say. It took we had a lot of buddy movies, to your point, guys throughout the years, and that's the first, at least I can remember. Like you say,
absolutely.
that was along the same line as for women as all these buddy movies are for guys. So yeah, I agree with you. So okay. Yeah, I same deal. I haven't watched it in a long time. I'm interested to go back and check it out and see if I am as entertained. Probably will be. So, okay, another movie that celebrated 32 years yesterday, Batman, the original Batman from Tim Burton, 1989 already. Crazy to think it's been that long ago. I actually went back and watched it last night on the front porch. It's still entertaining, holds up. Jack Nicholson, great as the Joker. Michael Keaton, great as Batman. So Michael Keaton is coming back to reprise the role of at least Bruce Wayne in the new Flash movie. You can see pictures of that out there now as kind of a Flashpoint type thing where there's alternate timelines and stuff like that. So don't know if he's going to actually appear as Batman or not just yet. You can see a picture of Michael Keaton wearing his suit as Bruce Wayne, but interesting there. Kind of on that same vein with Batman 89, one of the stories back then that never was fully realized was Billy D. Williams played Harvey Dent in the couple Tim Burton Batman movies and never was realized as Two-Face. So I guess they planned to do it in the sequel, but it just never got there. They rewrote it or whatever it was. But there's a comic book series coming out this summer from DC
they had
Comics.
3 of them.
Yeah, they did. It's too bad, really.
Yeah.
So there's a limited series coming out from DC Comics, 6 issues, Batman 89, where it picks up the storyline with the Michael Keaton Batman, and Billy D. Williams, Harvey Dent, does become Two-Face in the comics. So you get to see an artist rendition, at least, of Billy D. Williams as Two-Face in the series. Looks very cool. And they're also doing another series, Superman 78, with Christopher Reeve as the Superman character, Gene Hackman, as Lex Luthor and all that. So anyway, interested for these limited series, interested to see the storyline continue. So fans of the original Batman, are you interested also in this comic series to see the storyline continue? Or nope, that's all in the past. Let's move on and we're ready for the new Batman storyline. what do you guys think of the Batman '89 movie and limited series? Keith, what do you think?
I'll take Batman eating a cheesesteak. I don't care. I'm all things Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Batman cartoon. Give me Batman movie. Give me Batman retread story. I don't care. I'll take it. I am not a big fan of Tim Burton's style of films, but it fits so well with the Batman series. I think you got a little hokey with the latter two films, but still, just the feel of it. It was more Dark Knight than Batman, and you got to be a comic book fan to understand the difference. Just the look of Gotham City, even the Batmobiles. It was just really, really awesome. And of course, Michael Keaton really nailed the part. But yeah, I'm really interested in seeing it. Because I'm a huge old comic book collector. I haven't collected in years. Still have thousands of them. But I was wondering why they never realized that story with Two-Face. Obviously, they went two different directions with Mr. Freeze, the Penguin. Well, no, I'm sorry, not Freeze. They went with the Penguin, Catwoman.
Right.
And then what was the other one?
Poison Ivy with Uma Thurman.
Yeah,
and then you're right, Mr. Freeze and the hokey.
Was that Tim Burton too?
Okay. Actually, you know what? I take that back. So they did bring in Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face with Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
Oh yeah, right. Yep. That was with Val Kilmer.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
right. Yep. They sure did. Jim Carrey ruined that movie. He was so over the top. I'm like, dude, tone it down a notch, man. He was so perfect for that role.
Yeah.
And he just dialed it up to 11, man, and stayed on 11. It was too much. It was just like, back it down a little bit, man. Way too much Jim Carrey. And I thought Tommy Lee Jones did a great job, too, but he was over the top. That whole movie was a little bit over the top. Could have been great. Got corny and hokey. Viewing-wise, the colors, the cinematography was beautiful, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just some of the things they did was awesome. I love the giant statues in Gotham City and all that stuff. But I'm interested in seeing what they do with this. Yeah, I'll take anything Batman.
Cool. Skinner, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm the same way. Funny you mentioned Dark Knight because I watched Batman Begins today. Hadn't seen that one for a while. That was back in 2005, if you can believe it's been that long.
Wow,
yeah, good one.
The original Dark Knight movie with Christian Bale, which I thought he was probably one of the best Batmans we've had. I really enjoyed his rendition. I do.
I enjoyed it when it came out, but the more I got used to it, that voice is so ridiculous. You know who, in my opinion, not to cut you off, Skinner, but in my opinion, who was the best Batman of all? My opinion, the best one was the guy when they announced it. I had a fit. I was like, I know you're not casting this moron as Batman, and he killed it. And that was in the most recent Justice League movie. Ben Affleck nails it.
You think
he makes a brilliant Bruce Wayne and an awesome Batman.
He was actually fine. Yeah, when I went back and we watched the new Justice League cut. I'm like, it wasn't his fault. And you're right. That's the key, right? So if someone could play a good Bruce Wayne and a good Batman, Keaton did that well in his own way. And then Christian Bale, I thought, was a decent Bruce Wayne. That's really the key. So yeah, we'll see what Robert Pattinson does with it. But anyway.
Now see that I am not optimistic about that at all. He just too slight a build. I don't know. We'll see. Might be a new take on it we like. Go ahead, Skid. I didn't mean to cut you off, buddy.
That's okay. It's interesting you say Ben Affleck because while I like Ben Affleck, a lot of his movies have been bombs. That guy couldn't catch a break if he snapped his arm in half. But I remember taking the girls to see in Batman versus Superman, and I got after that movie, and I'm like, yeah, he did okay. I think he played the part well. Mm-hmm. But like you said, there's two characters. You got Batman and Bruce Wayne. And I think you're right. Christian Bale did really well with Bruce Wayne, but he had some issues with Batman. I think Michael Keaton was really good too. So
he was great at both.
But I'm a real fan of the Dark Knight series, the storylines. I really enjoyed those. I do want to revisit 1989, and if I can get the comic book, certainly I would love to have those.
Yeah, coming out this summer. I want to show quick on video, so it's hard to see. This is on my shelf behind me in my basement. So this is a Riddler McDonald's glass.
No kidding.
With Jim Carrey, it's as Riddler. I have the whole little series here that they came out with back then. So they had the Riddler, they had Batman, they had Robin, and then they had Two-Face. You had to go to McDonald's and buy. I don't remember what you had to buy, but it's actual glass.
We here at Gen X do not promote people over 50 eating McDonald's.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So here's the Batman glass here. It's hard to see on video, but I got these in the basement. So anyhow,
that's cool.
All right. Yeah, it is old. You find them I literally saw them in antique stores recently. Okay, so Batman 89, go check it out, revisit, check out the comic book series. And last thing I got here, speaking of sort of old comic book stuff, you mentioned my T-shirt here. I'm wearing an old Super Friends retro shirt. Just started streaming on HBO Max, also within the last week. All episodes of all variations of the Super Friends cartoon show, starting from the 1973, I think it was, with not is it even before the Wonder Twins? They had this teenage Marvin and the super dog, whatever it was, and the girl, and then it graduated up to the challenge of the Super Wonder Twins, and the challenge of the Super Friends versus the Legion of Doom. Those are my favorite personally.
Right. Me too.
There's a series of these I haven't even watched that went into the 80s, so I'm interested to go back and relive some of these. Check these out. I thought they were a lot of fun. I mean, to me too, as a kid, that guy, I can't remember the guy's voices, but the guy that did the Superman voice back then, that cartoon, that in my head is one of the
best. I think I might be wrong. I think it's Gary. I remember the guy very well who it was.
But you know the voice.
If
you are our age, Gen X, and you think of the Superman cartoon back in the 70s, 80s, you know exactly what this guy's voice sounds like. Luthor, Lex Luthor, Superman, and then the guy that played
Luthor.
Yeah, the guy that was Batman was terrific, and the famous Casey Kasem was Robin in those series back then, and they're all great actually. The
great
Wonder Woman,
voices,
all those voices were so good back then. Great voice actors. So just a great fun. So were you guys fans of the Super Friends cartoon? Do you plan to go back and revisit some of these old shows if you have HBO Max?
Well, hang on a second while I put my ear back on my head.
Boy, you lose a thumb, lose an ear. Come on, man. You're falling apart on this, Skinner.
Yeah, dealing with one hand it makes it impossible times.
I hear you.
Sorry.
Well, he gets adjusted. Man, absolutely. Watching that takes me back to maybe the happiest time of my life.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, a bowl of cereal, and watching that. You can't get any happier than that. Not a care in the world, no responsibilities, and your imagination running wild watching superheroes. I loved all of it, especially, like you said, the challenge of the Super Friends versus the Legion of Doom. Mm-hmm. Of course, when that series is when I got to see my first black superhero. It was called Black Vulcan?
Black
Lightning? Was it Black Lightning? It was Black Lightning.
Yeah.
And man, it was just awesome. And just to kind of piggyback off that, I tell you what, guys, if you haven't seen the show Black Lightning on the CW, it just ended after 4 seasons.
Yeah.
One of the best shows I've ever seen on TV, especially for a superhero show. It wasn't hokey. It was just real life family dealing with these issues in a black community. And it was awesome, man. I was blown away. I was sad to see the series end. But if you haven't seen Black Lightning, go on Netflix and check it out. But yeah, great stuff, man. I can't wait to watch Super Friends again to take me back in time.
Very good. Skinner, Super Friends?
I have a different one because I didn't get to watch them much back when we were growing up. When I was old enough to walk, I was old enough to throw a bowling ball down the lane. So always on Saturday mornings, I was at the bowling alley. So
that's right, yeah.
I didn't get the same experience.
You can walk, you're going to bowl.
Yeah, like I said, I think I threw my first ball at like 2.5 years old. I mean, I was
Wow.
Big into bowling before I went into the military. I actually bowled for the Air Force and bowled for the University of Akron. At one point, I was bowling like 150 games a week.
How we been friends all these years, and I never knew you were a bowler.
No
And a good
kidding.
one
Yeah,
at
me
that.
and Fisher bowled together when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Down at the old
Wow.
Kimball Lanes across from Menace Junior High School.
His dad was my coach before I even really knew who Skinner was back then. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, folks, we're good friends.
It's right behind me here on the shelf. You can see it behind me here. The bowling trophy
I
right
see
here.
it.
That's the bowling trophy I got at Ken Bowl Lanes with David Skinner as my coach back then with handicap.
Wow.
I was a terrible bowler, but I had a couple great games, and with my handicap, I just I probably had a 400 series. You know what I'm
That's
talking about?
awesome.
It was that bad. But anyways, yeah.
Okay.
Anyhow,
Yeah,
all
years later, after we reconnected after high school, I had some pictures that run across that my dad was given, and it was one with Fisher sitting out there with his bowling trophy, sitting out there on the lane.
Yeah,
There you
I
go.
bowl
How
a
about that?
79 normally, so.
Yep, there
But
you go.
anyway, so I didn't have the same experiences you guys did Saturday morning with the cereal bowl because of that. But during the summertime, I
You were
did.
happy, though. You were happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Bowling
all that
was my life
matters.
back then. So, but I got to watch the cartoons on Saturday mornings when I wasn't outside playing in the yard. So,
Okay.
All right. So I don't know if you ever answered our question, but that's okay. We're going to move right along. So
we know you can bowl.
Yeah. Keith, Danny Dark. Danny Dark was Superman for all those years.
Danny
12
Dark.
years
Okay.
was his
Who
name.
am I thinking of then?
I don't know, but the guy had glasses, so it's who you're describing.
Maybe I just remember the name, but yeah, I remember he had glasses. Yeah.
Yep. So anyhow, okay. So Super Friends, we'll check it out in the Hall of Justice. So
yes.
Skinner, excuse me. Keith, what do you got in the world of sports and music?
Okay, guys, let's start off with sports because big news going on in the NCAA. As I know you guys have seen the huge Ponzi scheme scandal going on down in Miami, is it?
Are you talking about the ruling? What are you talking about?
Oh, no, hold on. I'm talking about the wrong one here. I'm thinking about Shapiro there.
The Supreme Court ruling?
Yeah, the Supreme Court ruling on that whole deal. So, I don't want to be so much of a news reporting show because we're a Gen X show. So I just kind of wanted to go back in time a little bit and talk about some of the other Ponzi schemes, things that happened when we were growing up. And I don't know if you guys remember back in 2011, it was the University of Miami football team. There was a guy by the name of Nelson Shapiro who was convicted of running the biggest Ponzi scheme ever, really, $930 million worth. And you guys might remember this. He was taking players, giving them cash, cars. But what blew the whistle was they had a boat and it's full of Miami football players, University of Miami football players, and prostitutes. And the two live crew.
That's right.
They were on the boat, jamming, singing all kinds of nasty songs, and this whole thing just blew up all over the news. And it's led to one of the biggest arguments that have gone on from then till now. Should college players be compensated? So the whole Ponzi scheme thing, that story that broke, actually I don't even have my notes here on that one. Does anybody have their notes on that one?
Well, basically what it was, it's just, I remember at a high level, it's the Supreme Court ruled for, is that what you mean? What the ruling was?
Yes, the ruling.
Yeah. So basically the Supreme Court ruled that for elite athletes that they are allowed to receive other types of educational payments. Okay, it's educational type payments.
Okay,
so they are eligible
for
they are eligible for different scholarships and graduate scholarships and money and stuff like that. But what they're saying is it does open the door for future rulings on this to where, and they basically said, uh, it was Kavanaugh, Judge Kavanaugh, on
Right.
the Supreme Court, basically said more or less what he says. This would not fly in a business. It's just how
Right.
they. It's just these rules don't make any sense, and college tries to say, well, we compensate them with scholarships and everything else, but
Right.
these elite athletes, the schools and the whole NCAA program, as we know, benefits from bowl games and TV and everything else. So it's progressing, and there's also laws that's going to be starting in various states. Florida is one of them, and a few other ones where the state law will allow the student athletes to make money from their likenesses. So these kids will be able to sell
Okay.
autographs. They'll be able to do like camps and things like that. And now other people are saying, "Whoa, wait a minute! If you're not doing this at a national level, are you going to create so are some elite athletes who
It's
maybe
going
I'm
to be
considering?
hard to
Yeah,
legislate. It's
I'm
going. The
considering
floodgates
Ohio
are going to
State and
open.
Florida,
Yeah.
right? But I can go to Florida and make more money today. I may be more prone to do that. So all these things are changing in the college game here
It's going to
as
be
we
nuts,
see it.
and it's going to
Hmm.
change the motivations for some college players too. Are
Sure,
you playing to get to the pros? Are you playing to make what you can right now in
that's right.
college? You have a lot
That's
of
right.
players who are great in college and have no intention of going to the pros or are not pro style players.
Right.
Look at all
Right.
the players who are Heisman winners, but they've nothing in the pros. So this is going to be real interesting. So you had the 2011 University of Miami thing, and I wanted to go back even a little bit further. If you guys remember, one of the biggest stories ever as far as compensating players, and that was back in the 1987 year we
Hmm.
graduated. SMU, Southern Methodist University, the hottest college football team in the country.
Eric Dickerson.
Yeah, man, they had a backfield you wouldn't believe with Eric Dickerson and was it Craig? He's a host now, but anyway, man, two awesome running back. They were giving away cars, they were giving away cash, they were giving away women, and of course, they got hit with like the biggest penalty in the history of college sports, known as the death penalty.
Hmm.
Kills all your scholarships, just kills everything. Which really isn't fair to a lot of the other athletes, but I don't think they'll ever do that again. But the argument started back then, continued 2011, and now with this new ruling. You guys think players, should they be compensated? Is there any way to legislate this fairly? Who should be compensated? How much versus this player who doesn't play at all? What do you guys think, Skinner?
Well, as you guys know, I'm a big college football fan,
Mm.
particularly Ohio State. So, the old argument is they are getting paid to play football. They're getting a full ride scholarship. They're
Mm-hmm.
getting degrees as long as they're keeping their grades
Mm-hmm.
up. They have full room and board for the time that they're at their university. And then you've got the others that say, well, you've got guys that are going to play in the NFL. Why can't they make money now? So you got the old autographs and signing pictures and things of that nature. So I'm on the fence, truthfully.
Yeah, I know
But
what you mean.
why is it okay for the top-notch running back to be able to get some kind of compensation outside of his tuition, room and board, but the offensive lineman that's not going to make it to the pros, why he doesn't get the same benefit, even though at the end of the day they both have full ride scholarships, getting the same compensation from the school itself.
Yeah. That's a
Does that
really
make
good
sense?
question. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I totally understand what you mean about being on the fence. We're going to talk about this in a minute. Fish.
Yeah, I just think you just have to, and I know they've asked for this. Some schools and the NCAA they've asked for this too. Just regulate it at a federal level. Just set some guidelines across the nation. I mean, to me, if a kid, you got to do it right. I don't think you should still allow, if there's like a local car dealership, let's say, that's going to try to recruit a kid to their local school and give him cars and things like that to try to get them to go to school there, because these are things that get into unfair advantages and all that. But once you're at a school, if you have a jersey with your name on it, for example, and they sell that jersey, you should give the kids some money from that, right?
Mhm.
You guys are making tons of money. Let the kids do autographs. Just set the rules. Let every kid do it. Not every kid's going to be able to make money doing that. Not every kid's going to be popular, but the elite athletes will all have the same opportunity, regardless what school they go to make money in a certain way. Helps them, helps their family, whatever. Just regulate it. Let the kids benefit a little bit, because certainly college sports in general, basketball, football especially, are just cleaning house and TV ratings and bowl games and advertising and all that crap.
Right.
Pass them on to the kids and their families. And because also there's kids that, like you say, they're not going to make the pros. This is their opportunity to try to make some money right now. Yeah, to get the free education. That's huge, because
Yeah.
certainly we would all love to have that for our kids. But
Right.
Yeah, just regulate it. That's all.
Right.
Keith, what do you think?
Well, here's my problem. We talk about they're getting a free education. A lot of them are not there for an education.
Yeah.
They're there to play football, play basketball. Throwing away an educational spot, if you ask me. So it kind of angers me a little bit, you know, and I'm saying this is your opportunity. You should make the most of it. If you're just there to play sports or whatever, then that's your problem. You kind of threw it away. But on the other hand, when you're seeing all these other people making billions of dollars off your name and off your likeness, that's just not right. And just call it what it is. It's not right. Now, here's where I have a problem with, fellas. The rules are so stupid now. I forget who it was, but it was one kid who had to go to a funeral, and he didn't have a suit. And an alumni bought him a suit to go to a funeral, and boom, he was ineligible because of that. That's when the stupid stuff comes in for me. That's utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I think they have to have, like you said, federal guidelines, but I think the individual schools have got to get some common sense involved here and say, listen, this is what we're going to do. Plus, you got a lot of kids, man, who can ball, come from some poor backgrounds and some poor family situations, and they get to college and they have absolutely nothing. So if they have an opportunity to make some money, like I said, off the autograph, off their likeness, we got to figure something out, because the problem is this. This is where the big problem comes in. Once you make $1, your amateur status is gone. That's the problem. You're supposed to be in college. It's supposed to be academic. If you make money, that's called being a professional. So that's where we got a big problem at. So what's the answer? I don't know, but it's going to be a big problem. So interesting to see how the floodgates open with this new ruling and what happens here. I'm sure we'll be revisiting this story down the road.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, okay, guys, also in sports, I'm looking at the NBA playoffs. Tell me how familiar are these names? The Phoenix Suns,
Charles
the
Barkley.
LA Clippers. yeah.
Moses Malone.
That's the last time. The Phoenix Suns, LA Clippers, Dan Marley. Milwaukee Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks. Really? You heard me, the Atlanta Hawks. These are your last 4 teams in the NBA Finals. We saw LeBron probably fall apart physically more than we ever have. We don't know if that's the writing on the wall or not. Certainly, he's not getting any younger. Golden State has all kind of issues going on. We don't know. And, of course, Cavaliers are not even worth talking about. But also, the Mavs are not what they used to be. The Pacers haven't been anything in years. Boston Celtics have disappointed us these last few years. We thought they would be an eventual champ. Unfamiliar teams, unfamiliar names. Trae Young. I remember when Trae Young got drafted a couple years ago. I said, this skinny kid is not going to make it in the NBA. Boo. Apology. Man, was I wrong. You lighten it up for Atlanta. Unbelievable, man. When you see the class he was drafted with, I thought he would he was drafted in the same class as what's his name down in with the Pelicans, Zion Williams. And this is just amazing what this kid is doing. It's kind of a writing on the wall. Do you guys think this is that time in history where there's a shift in sports, especially basketball, particularly, where the old guard is passing away? We saw Magic and Bird and all those guys pretty much fade off and handed reins over to a Michael Jordan and guys like that, Reggie Miller. Do you think it's that time again where we're saying, see you later to LeBron, see you later to, well, maybe not so much Steph Curry, but some of the other guys, and handing the league over to the Kevin Durant and younger players like Trae Young? You think it's that time, Fish?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly shaping up that way. I mean, these teams that's still in it, at least three of them, so certainly Phoenix. Well, Chris Paul's there for Phoenix, so I'm
So
happy for
rooting for
him.
Chris Paul.
Happy
So
for
rooting
him
for
to get
Chris
there.
Paul, yeah.
Yeah, because he was sort of cast away, and then he's really, and hasn't even been able to play the last two games with COVID precautions. So
yeah, and he can't stay healthy for nothing.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, but these are some of the young talent with Giannis on Milwaukee, and long term, and like you say, Trae Young for Atlanta. I think it's great. I mean, I think it's great,
awesome.
and for these markets too. These are teams that these poor fans of these teams for years and years and years. They just haven't sniffed the NBA Finals in a long time.
Well, I tell you what, you got Phoenix, other than the Clippers, Phoenix, Milwaukee, and Atlanta. These are three markets that couldn't put a super team together for nothing. And to see them in the finals is awesome. All these guys, controlling where they go, teaming up together, the Brooklyn Nets, the Lakers, blah, blah, blah. It's sickening to see, because I would have thought the Milwaukee Bucks would never get nowhere near NBA Finals. So I hope to see them make it. I hope to see Chris Paul there. You're absolutely right. Good for these markets, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Skinner?
Yeah, I can't disagree with what Fisher said. These cities been starving for years, and not just in basketball, but as other sports too. Atlanta, for one, the Braves haven't done anything as far as the World Series since the 90s. You've got the Atlanta Falcons in football that have gotten close, but they've fallen off there at the end.
Blew a 30-point lead.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, they're starving for something. So good for them.
How about Milwaukee?
Team that hasn't been anywhere.
Anywhere.
They've got the Green Bay Packers up there, but yeah.
Old Milwaukee beer, that's all they got.
Yeah, right. So, I haven't watched 2 minutes of basketball this year, I'm going to be honest. But when he told me who's still left, I thought that was a good thing for the NBA. It needed to be that way.
Yeah. And it's not these super teams. That's what I like too.
It's super teams. Yeah,
all these super teams are out. These are teams that are building with their young talent and people around them. All these teams. Well, LA is closest to a quote unquote super team.
Like it used to be.
Yes, that's great.
So I really love what Giannis has done in Milwaukee. They've built that team. They keep getting closer and closer and closer, and adding pieces. And I certainly would love to see Chris Paul get his just due. This poor guy has been traded away, hobbled by injury. I don't know how the commissioner did it to him when he was getting traded to the Lakers, and they blocked it that 1 year. I don't know what that was all about. But I'd like to see him and Giannis get to the finals. That would be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so while we're talking about old guard fading away, guys, we're old enough now that we've seen some retirements of some of the greatest players of all time. Who was the person, or not the saddest person you've seen go, but your fondest memory of somebody saying goodbye who was on one of your favorite teams? Fish, can you think of anybody offhand?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I have a few to come to mind, but Larry Bird for me, as I've talked about before, one of my favorite players. It was sad for me that he was not able to go out how he preferred to with his terrible back at the time, but he was able though to play in on the Dream Team. It was really cool to see him and Magic and Michael get a chance to play together, and that seemed to rejuvenate him for a little bit there. So, would like to see him go out better, but very, very moving, very nice ceremony with him and Magic. All that was very memorable for me. So Larry awesome. Bird,
yeah. All right, Skinner.
One of mine I felt bad for was Dan Marino. I wasn't a Miami Dolphins fan.
Yes.
But to watch him retire, not getting that Super Bowl, to me, really hurt. I felt for him, I should say. One of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, but yet never sniffed a Super Bowl or a championship.
His last game was a playoff demolish. He got
Yeah.
demolished, I think, by
Yeah.
Jacksonville or somebody stupid
yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
it's
Yeah,
crazy.
so yeah, you're right. That was a shame. Yep.
Yeah, I got two that stick in my mind. Magic coming back to play that All-Star game.
Yes,
That
incredible.
was an unbelievable moment.
Mhm.
I know some of the players didn't want to play with him because of the HIV scare
Yep.
and all that stuff. But just the way the players embraced him and him come back and do that and got off like he did, that was a real special moment for me.
Yep.
And of course, to see the bus retire in his hometown in Detroit, winning a Super Bowl. He wasn't the predominant back. He had one pretty good run, but just to see him get there after blowing it the year before, and Roethlisberger calling him saying, "If you come back one more year, I promise you I'll take you to the Super Bowl." And he did and retired in his hometown. I watched that guy from beginning of his career. That was great for me. So, okay. So moving over a couple minutes in music, just a couple of things, guys. Not much going on this day of music, but relating to Gen X, but a couple of birthdays. Mick Fleetwood, born in 1947 on this day, 73 years old, and Kurt Smith, from one of the great video bands of our generation, Tears for Fears, was born on this day. Guys, Tears for Fears fans, Fish?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, everybody wants to rule the world. One of its all decade
Just
80s
popular
song,
song.
100%. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Skinner?
Yeah, I hear a guy play that on an instrument called dulcimer.
Hammer
You've seen
Dulcimer.
him on
Yeah.
Facebook. The guy's incredible. But he plays Tears for Fears. So yeah, that's a band that will never get old. That song will go into infamy.
Yeah, don't forget Shout. That's another great one.
Shout's another one.
Yeah. Okay. Also, a little bit more Mick Fleetwood. He has asked Lindsey Buckingham to come back. Mick Fleetwood was 73 years old. They fired Lindsey Buckingham 3 years ago. They asked him to come back for one more hurrah. I'd like to see it. Big Fleetwood Mac fan. You, Fish?
Absolutely love that band. Rumors, still one of the greatest rock albums of all time, start to finish. Super talented, all the way around. Singing,
you could go
the
your
instrument.
own way. Favorite song to play when I'm with a band?
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, I would like to see it happen. I think us need to go see it if they come around here.
That would be cool. Tickets probably $1,000. So
probably.
Okay. Hey, I want to say, thank you to everybody who came out to the Vortex last week to see me with the Diamond Phillips Band. Last week, the System 303, two of the best local bands I've ever heard. Thank you, guys. It was a great show. They've asked us to come back and headline a Christmas show. I don't know what happened with that, but stay tuned for that. So, Fish, why don't you take us out this time, man?
All right, well, thanks for tuning in. So for Keith Porter, Michael Skinner, I'm Brian Fisher. Thank you for tuning in again to It Came From GenX. Find us on Facebook at It Came From GenX, and we appreciate your support. Stay strong and gnarly, GenX.
Hey, Thumb Boy, why don't you get a guard?
Take care, fellas. We'll see you next week, folks.
All right, take care.
And out.